Hey everyone. So last week I put out a video on how anti-abortion readers of the Bible use passages about Molech to condemn abortion, mostly by making a bunch of stuff up about Molech.
Moloch was the god of prosperity, the god of pleasure.
He was a big fat god.
An iron statue, like a cast iron idol chimnea. They put fire in the belly of
In his big fat belly was a fire pit,
and when the arms became incandescent and glowing, red hot,
and they would put their babies on the red hot hands of Molech.
on the red hot incandescent, place their newborn babies on his arms and watch them sizzle.
The use of drums and chants.
Boom, boom, sizzling to death. There's a modern practice called abortion.
An abortion.
The most pagan of acts, the offering up of its own children.
I'll link to that video below, but some commenters on that video pointed us to a passage in an ancient Jewish apocalypse that we call the first book of Enoch that seems to condemn abortion. And the fifth chief angel was named Kazdiah, who showed the sons of men all the wicked blows of spirits and demons, and the blows of the embryo in the womb that it may fall, and snake bites and sunstrokes and so forth. So first of all, thank you to the commenters. I love seeing people engage in this discussion and especially challenging me. Now, obviously this passage has nothing to do with Molech, so I'm not quite sure why they put the comment there. But if it is about abortion, it is a problem for another video I made that I'll link to, where I claim that Bibles don't condemn abortion. Because First Enoch is in Ethiopic Bibles. Ethiopian Orthodoxy is an ancient but relatively small branch of Christianity. I mean, there are like 40 million of them, but by way of comparison, there are like 1.3 billion Catholics. So there are relatively few Ethiopic Bibles out there. My videos tend to go a bit long, and sometimes stuff needs to get cut out, and in that case, First Enoch got the knife. But their comments give me an excuse to come back to what may be the only biblical passage to directly address abortion, even if it's only biblical for about 1% of the world's Bible readers. So let's call this a little nugget of BS on 1 Enoch 69:12. Is the passage about abortion? Enoch mentions strikes on an embryo that cause a miscarriage. One pretty universally known way to terminate a pregnancy is physical violence, since trauma can cause a miscarriage. So that may be what Enoch is talking about here, a man beating a woman until she miscarries. In my video on abortion in Bibles, I mentioned some Catholic schoolboys that I knew as a kid who would joke that if they ever got a girl pregnant, they could, quote, kick her in the stomach and throw her down the stairs. They knew that physical trauma could end the pregnancy. But the other two afflictions associated with Kazdiah are snake bites and heat stroke. Now, neither of those is intentional, but both can cause a miscarriage. So Enoch could be talking about any type of physical trauma that could end a pregnancy, maybe more like falling off a horse or even unintentional violence. Exodus 21, for example, mentions a case law where people are fighting near a pregnant woman and accidentally cause her to miscarry. They don't want to hurt her or her fetus. She just kind of gets caught in the fray. If all they do is cause the miscarriage, they pay a fine and move on. If they cause the woman harm, though, then it's eye for an eye, life for a life, and all that. So it's possible Enoch includes this sort of unintentional injury to a woman that just happens to cause the end of her pregnancy, not an intentional abortion. Like the commenters, I suspect intentional abortion is actually in play, but the text doesn't settle the matter for us. It spends all of part of a sentence characterizing trauma to an embryo as bad in the same way snake bites or heat strokes are bad. We choose whether to hear the strikes as intentional or not. And like Jeremiah wishing he hadn't been born because someone murdered his mother, beating a woman until she miscarries is already illegal. It's already viewed as immoral by most people, whether they read Bibles or not. No one's advocating for that. So it's not really clear how relevant the passage would be, even if it's talking about intentional abortion. So even if this passage is talking about intentional abortion, we're still making some choices about whether to read it, how to read it, and how to make it relevant to our current discussion about abortion. Again, thanks to the commenters for bringing this passage up, and keep the comments coming.